So to address the Minameta El Merchav idea, the whole concept of being in a constrained place is meant to accelerate us to a new place. So this is a concept we see in the way the Eibishter created the physical world in physics. If you take water and you put it in a constrained, flowing water, put it in a constrained place, it will increase the velocity of the water, and it becomes much more intense, much more powerful and turbulent, and able to come with greater power out and to then have much greater energy. So that's the purpose of it. Now, the only way in which that could, chas v'sholom, be defeated is by despair. So I heard someone say that they did an experiment once where they put people in a room, locked them in a room, and there was somewhere in the room was hidden a key, a way out of the room, but there was absolutely no other way out of the room. So everyone, of course, tries a little bit, but the people who despaired of ever getting out, they just eventually gave up, and they did not get out. But the people who did not despair, then they just kept moving ahead to find the way out. They kept moving ahead to find the way out, and they eventually got out because there was in that room a way out. And there's a way out of every situation. But the general point is that the way in which our minds and hearts are played with is to sow despair. If we were in any type of situation, whether it's a personal situation, a marriage situation, a family situation, a community situation, a national situation, or a situation for humanity as a whole, if we weren't despairing, we would find solutions. Like all the great innovations of the world that responded to challenging situations. New things were brought into the forefront of the human awareness that they're able to serve humanity. And the same thing is in the spiritual. Amalek cannot trap people. It cannot create an absolutely inescapable situation. But what it does is it creates the appearance of challenges, and then it works even more than it makes the appearance of the challenges. It works to create the appearance of despair and create the feeling of despair in people. So people are like, oh, it's like, imagine you are, you're in a room, and you think you're in a room, but it's really just a bunch of movie sets or theater sets, around you, making it look like there's walls. And you're like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to check out, see what's behind these things. I wonder if I could poke my finger through these walls. They look like solid stone walls. And, but it's huge. You're going to use your natural desire to get out. And then you'll discover that they're just pieces of paper. But Amalek comes along and sows confusion among the people. So the people start to despair, and they're like, oh, there's no chance, there's no hope. What's going to happen if we get, it's not possible to get out. And what are the guards going to say if we do get out? And then people are imagining what's going to happen on the other side of getting out. So that they're going to come after you with the helicopters and the police and the dogs and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, person's like, you would never do this, of course, but a person's like, okay, there's no way out. There's no way out. So person would just sit there. And it's kind of sad. It's very sad because there's really only paper, just paper props that are keeping a person thinking that there's any control over them. So it's interesting. So what's the antidote to the despair? The antidote to the despair is simcha. You could try to talk to a person who's in despair about all the reasons they shouldn't despair and try to reason with their logic. But the fact is that they cannot possibly bring themselves to even see what you're saying, because Amalek works so overtime to deal with all the possible objections to the despair and the counter objections to the despair. The end result is it's like talking to somebody, don't despair. They're going to be like, what do you mean? Don't you know this is like this and this is like that and this is too difficult and it's going to be like that and what's going to happen after that, and no one's going to listen and no one's going to want to do all these kind of lies that Amalek sows of despair, demoralization. So the answer is simple. The person would just be joyous, then he would go over he would just go over, he would transcend the experience of the despair. So now he doesn't have any logical reason to think that things are any better. If he's just happy, then he would be able to see an opportunity and be able to follow an opportunity when it happens. His happiness would take him out of the despair. So he'd be open to the possibilities of here's something that could be done. There's a story told about the Gorodetzky. I think both Gorodetzky brothers, they were in a place, they were gathered together, I think, by the Nazis. and they were gathered together into a synagogue. The whole community, people were very distressed and they were despairing. And one of the Gordetsky brothers said, "No, this is a time for a Hasidic Farbrengen. We should sit together. We should sing. We should be happy." And they went to the back of this building, or the back of the synagogue, and they just sat there and they just used it as an opportunity to be joyous. The Nazis set the place on fire. God should save us from any such terrible things, and save everybody from any such thing. And the place is burning down. And these men who were sitting in the back, who were in a state of happiness, and they were joyful, they saw an opportunity that there was a way to escape through the back of the building. And the end result was that they escaped and they survived. And presumably anyone who was close to them and was able then to piggyback on the result of their joy led them to the open-mindedness to not think that there was permanent, that they were trapped and there was no way out. They were able to see and perceive the gift of the insight of there is an opening, there is a way to get out, there's a way to go forward. So this is the concept of minametza al-merchav, that the constriction is meant to propel us, but we also have to be joyous in advance. We have to know, okay, this is a gift. It's a gift for me now to see new things. I'm going to be propelled into a completely different level of living life and loving life and living with other people and loving other people and connecting with my Creator, God Almighty. And now let me be joyous right now to know that this pressure is meant to, this constraint is meant to propel me forward. And then we are open to it and we see the way in which to direct our energy. Because when you put into a constraint, there is a way out. There's always a way out. And that way, if you're facing the wrong way, if you're trying to go the wrong way, if you're got your eyes closed, God forbid, your ears closed, you're not paying attention, then a person's just going to stay, in the Meitzah. So we don't want to be that. We want to be open-hearted. We want to be open-minded. We want to be seeing forward and looking and open to the Eibishter's, the God Almighty's love, his gift to us, to see that this is a gift to us and for us. And then with great joy, we will come shooting out of that limited space and come into the merchav, which is the great expansion, in which we are then now propelled with a new energy. It's not just that we get out of that small place and now we are, oh, what a relief. Okay, now I can sit down and relax. No, the whole point, the point of being propelled out of that narrow space is to now be in a harchava, to be in the wideness of our das is wide. We see the potential now. We see what we're capable of. We see what the world is capable of. We see what the God Almighty is capable of. And now we're committed to applying that, to bringing even more goodness to every single person. So that is how we can understand this minametza al-merchav idea of the shofar, and the starts small and it gets big on the other side, and all these concepts. That's in the Tehillim that we say in the Seres Tshuva, and we want to make sure that we are going with joy and rejecting and denying any suggestion that there's any reason whatsoever to despair on any level, on any front, and to recognize that's the tachwelis, that's the machinations and schemes of Amalek to try to keep us in their zone. On the contrary, we know that the open spaces, the entire universe belongs to God Almighty, and we want to belong in that open space and be able to bring and uplift every human being to join us.